would you advise to the person who is just starting their public speaking journey or communication journey? Because a lot of people say, first of all, Sanjay, actually, I never told you this, but you are actually my inspiration. I still remember you when you were in my office introducing us to a Toastmaster thing.
I remember. I
Uh,
remember.
Yeah, so at that time, I didn't know anything about Toastmaster. I always thought that Toastmaster would be some a toast making company or something, but I really didn't know that Toastmaster is something related to a speaking thing, and I always wanted to be a speaker. So when I saw you giving a speech, and at that time I decided that okay, I want to be like him, I want to speak like
Thank you.
him.
That means a lot.
Seriously. And at that time, I joined the Toastmaster, the Media Ocean Club, and also the Bane Toastmaster Club. And there you were, I think, district or area director at that
Correct.
time.
Correct. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I joined that, and I always wanted to be wanted to speak like you.
Thank you. Thank you so
So
much.
I listened to your speeches, which are on YouTube, and then when I saw that you are giving a TEDx speech, and I saw your video at least 3 to 4 times, just on repeat what you are
Thank you.
saying.
Thank you. Thank you so
So
much. Glad to hear that.
really, I'm really privileged to have you on my podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. Pleasure to be here.
Here's the first question. That is, I already know you as a Toastmaster, but I really would like to know about who is Sanjay, what do you do, and what's your background?
Definitely, definitely. So I think that's a very interesting question. I'm glad you said that you know me like a Toastmaster and not the other aspects. For the people who know me already, they know quite a lot of the stuff that I do. But if I have to put myself across in a very simple manner, and not like an interview question as to tell me something about yourself, it's primarily going to be I'm an engineer turned speaker today. At least that's what I call myself. I like to call myself in the present day. Now, why I say that is, I come from a very small town. A lot of people know about this. I come from a beautiful hill station down south in Tamil Nadu. It's called Ooty, the Queen of Hills. So I was born, brought up here. I did a fair amount of my schooling all the way up to high school here. After which, for engineering, I moved to Bangalore. Now, engineering was a pure accident, and while I was doing decently well academically, I thought I wanted to be pursuing other areas, and I developed keen interest in the aspects of leadership, communication, all thanks to the kind of extracurriculars that I had in my college. So that's a little thing that happened. Besides that, if you look at it professionally, I worked with an Indian automotive company for about 3.5 years. I worked in their sales team doing a lot of interesting stuff. After which, I finally, post lockdown, a lot of change in sentiments, a little sort of adrenaline rush and a little motivation to go ahead and pursue training and speaking full time. So over the last 1.5 year, I am completely into aspects of public speaking, training individuals in communication, soft skills, conducting workshops and programs online, offline, on leadership development, business development, variety of topics. Plus, I've also developed a keen interest. A lot of people don't know this side of me, but I'm also a very in I don't want to brag or say that, but I would say I'm an amateur graphic designer who
Oh.
loves creating a lot of content in terms of posters or designs, so on and so forth. So yeah, if you ask me to summarize who I am in sort of 5-6 words, it's going to be an ex-engineer, ex of course because engineering journey is over, a trainer, a public speaker, a coach, a designer, an event host, and yeah, jack of many trades.
So, when did you find that you want to do public speaking or your first ever experience with public speaking?
I think first ever experience with public speaking will go back to old school days. Back when in school you had oratory, you had recitation, a lot of these competitions on stage. So if right now my memory goes back to the first time I went on stage or the first time I spoke in front of a large crowd. I was in class 5 or 6, Independence Day, all white and
Oh.
white. Writing down a speech. I did it once in English, once in Hindi. So that's my those are the early memories I have of public speaking. But if you ask me when I really wanted to pick it up, it was during high school, class 12, and after that, subsequently in college. So I participated in a few debates. I won one or two and I miserably failed a few. And then I said, no, I got to do something better. And then when I came to college, I joined the debating community. I was part of the literary club. We had an amazing literary event called Jam. So I think those are the shaping years of my public speaking journey. Primarily my engineering days were when I decided that no, I got something in this area and I really want to work towards it.
So were you confident like from class 5, or you developed that interest while growing up?
It would definitely, be flattering or unfair to say that I was confident right from before. I think that's not the case with any of us. We always start. I may have been comfortable, but confidence, I think it comes along the way. Like I said, a few, of them were very good, so that boosted my confidence. A few instances where I couldn't perform so well, not up to the expectations, or didn't really, excel. So that's where your
Mhm.
confidence takes a hit. But I think it's the journey that matters. Eventually, years after speaking, and now when I look back, I think every single attempt is what has added
Mhm.
on to my confidence. So it's not that I was confident from the start. A lot of practice, like I usually tell everyone.
Right, right. So, like I said, you are my inspiration for this public speaking journey. I know that everyone has some role models. So, who are yours? I mean, who is your role models or the speakers that you look up to?
Oh, this is very interesting. I think it's going to be very difficult to put one name to it. When you ask me who's my role model in terms of public speaking, but I've been inspired by several people along the way. If you look at it, when I was in school, I saw a lot of my seniors who were performing on stage, and when I say performing, of course, speaking on stage. And I said, "Wow, I need to be able to speak like them." I went to college again. I saw a few of my seniors, and I'm not taking any names. Those people who know who they are. So I looked at them and I said, "Oh, fantastic! I need to learn a few aspects from these people." And I think if you ask me, major inspiration, or where what really pushed me and drove me in this direction is when I joined Toastmasters. So I joined Toastmasters, and I saw like a dozen people out there. So many people who are fantastically good at speaking. So a lot of them, and specifically when I looked at the world champion speeches, the kind of
Mhm.
energy they had and what they really gave away, I think so that's been it. So if I have to give you one name, it's really difficult in terms of inspiration, but I think it's been a series, long list of people who've inspired me day in, day out.
So, any famous celebrity whom we know, or maybe we can model?
Oh, lovely, interesting. So, if I have to give you two names, off my mind right now, there may be many, but one of them is going to be Dhananjay, who
Hmm.
happens to be the World Championship of Public Speaking winner 2014. And the next one, if you look at, is a very unusual answer that a lot of people who know me would expect, but I think it's going to be Shah Rukh Khan. I listened to his TEDx
Oh.
talk and TED talk, and I was mind blown. Oh man, I mean, of course, he's a person. As a person, he's an inspiration, but the way he crafted and narrated his stories, I think it's really fascinating to hear all of those stories.
Yeah, I don't remember Sarukh Khan one, but Dhananjay one is the first time when I hear, oh my God, I mean, I
Yeah,
was like, oh my God, what a speech.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
In fact, just a small thing. Even today, it's I think it's just about a 7.5 minute video. I look at it today and I'm still uplifted. That
Uh,
it never fails to sort of amazes and throw my spirits up. So that's one video that it's my go-to thing if you ask me. Whenever I need inspiration, I need ideas, I need a little confidence to boost my public speaking, or anytime I have to speak. I think that's a wonderful video I look up to.
right. I still remember the expression that he gave in the with the
Absolutely.
rose, I think.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so next question would be related to your TED Talk. What is your TEDx journey? Like, did you approach to the TEDx guy, or how is that happen?
I'll be very honest and candid here. See, TEDx has become so popular in the country today, and when I say popular, of course, it's like a dream for a lot of speakers, budding speakers, to be able to give a TEDx talk. Frankly, I've
Mhm.
had this, for about 5 years. I mentioned in my talk also. From 5 years, I've always said, okay, this is like one goal, at least one milestone in my public speaking journey, where I need to deliver a TEDx talk. And then somehow at the start, I've been trying to apply at several TEDx talks. Back when I was in my corporate life in Pune, I applied to a lot of talks. I obviously didn't get through a lot of them. I went ahead and I attended a few TEDx talks to see what the speakers really bring on to the table, what's so different. So if you look, why I'm sharing all of this journey is, I think an invite only TEDx definitely takes a long time. Plus, to have that kind of personal or a professional accomplishment, that kind of a story or an idea to be able to share with people. So my TEDx journey, of course, was through application, But I think the process was very interesting. I found, something on Instagram, and then when I reached out, the screening process, I must say, is very, difficult is not the word, but I think it's very interesting. Because why I say interesting is you have multiple rounds. First, you need to give like a little profile of yourself, and then a little video recording for them to see what kind of presentation you're able to bring about. And finally, when it comes down to what your idea is, you getting your idea verified, sharing all of that, the entire curation team, experience that you have, I think that's been very interesting. So overall, if I have to sum up, my TEDx journey in a few words, I safely say, I'm just recalling all the memories that I've had, and I'm going to say it's one of the best experiences that I've had in my entire life.
Okay, so let's say, like I have also a dream of giving the TEDx speech. As a beginner, what would you suggest to me? Like, what things should I prepare, and from how long I should prepare? Like, should I prepare daily till how many weeks? Like, what should be the journey, or what should be the
Yeah.
whole process for me to giving my TEDx speech?
Definitely. I think one myth that I want to break, that a lot of us live in, even I lived in, that myth area for a good amount of time. You don't prepare to deliver a TEDx talk. You can't say that 2, 3 years, 4 years later, I'm going to do it. If you ask me what really, is required to get into a TEDx talk, or what really makes it to a TEDx talk, I think two interesting things. Number one, you need to have an idea that's worth sharing with the world. You look at the tagline, or, what TEDx really talks about. It's TEDx ideas worth spreading. So I think one, you need to have a very interesting, very unique idea. And number two, it's about you as an individual need to, sort of stand out. And then, of course, I don't mean to brag or blow my own trumpet, but I think a good amount of time has gone into building that profile, into really being able to arrive at a stage where I think, where I thought that I have a fantastic idea, I have a good profile. And then it's not just me thinking, it's also the other person doing it. So if you ask me, or sort of directly answering that question, I suggest just keep focusing on what you have to find your niche, find your core, find what you're really interested in, go ahead. And I think eventually someday you will get to a stage where you have an idea plus you have the profile. So I think it makes a good combination. The moment people listen to your idea, they say, oh wow. And of course, I don't want to sort of restate the most important underlying fact is that public speaking skills happen to be like a key aspect of a very good TEDx talk. But I definitely place the idea, the content above the aspects of public speaking in a TEDx talk.
Okay, so what were you feeling when you were giving your TEDx speech on stage?
Oh wow, that's a very fascinating feeling. I only my close friends know this, so it's a very funny thing that happened before I went on stage. My slot was the last before lunch, and then I'm sure the organizers watching this, they'll have a good chuckle and laugh about it. My slot was supposed to be the last one before lunch, and there were a few more speeches or talks lined up post lunch. Now, of course, there was a little delay here and there, and then I got the information saying, what, your talk is happening post lunch. And then I reconfirm. I was sort of getting ready backstage. I was, sort of getting the mic ready and everything. But then they said, no, your talk is post lunch. So I, very jolly, I walked back into the hall. I sat relaxed. I was listening to the last talk. And then suddenly a thought sort of struck my head saying the organizers informed me, but I think the host is not aware. The master of ceremonies was not informed. Now I didn't know, but suddenly, this intuition within me, it said, I don't know if the master of ceremonies is informed or not. So the previous TEDx talk, it's over. The master of ceremonies is on stage. She finishes. I thought she'd announce the lunch break, but then, like I said, that thought in my head whether she knows or she doesn't. Then she goes ahead and she introduces me for the next talk. I'm sitting in the hall, all comfortable. The mic is not ready. I was prepared because I'd been preparing for a long time. But at that point in time, I said, "Oh, there's a lunch break," and then I got to deliver my talk. But then, after the name was announced, I said, "Oh no, no backing out." So when I went on stage, I think it was really funny in my head that it was introduced. I was relaxing. I went out there, but I said that that's a part of the challenge that I have as a TEDx talk. So what I felt when I was there, I think I thoroughly enjoyed every single second of standing there, every single second that I spent on that stage, looking at the audience, every word that I delivered. I really felt like I'm living my dream life right there. So I'm not saying it's the ultimate thing or it's the last thing that I wanted to achieve. Like I said, one milestone, and I felt I was there, like on the top of the peak and shouting to the world that, hey, I am here, I've climbed this summit. So I think that was the feeling that I had back then.
Wow. And how did you come up with the F word title?
Okay, okay. So again, you know me from a long time, and a lot of people who know me from earlier is I always try and keep experimenting something hatke, something out of the box. Oftentimes it turns out to be really funny, and oftentimes it doesn't work. But it's okay. That's my personality today, and I like experimenting, doing a lot of these things in terms of giving it a very creative outlook and a creative approach. So when I was building the concept, of course I figured out that I'm going to talk about failures, how you deal with failures. I wanted to give it a very nice approach. But then I said, what do I call my entire talk or topic? It would be very easy to say deal with failures, or the 3 P's of failures, or how to deal with failure. But then I said I need something that's a little more Gen Z. And then why I'm saying the Gen Z term is, of course, people today love something that sort of grabs their attention and they're able to go and see what's in store. So that's when I said, okay, I'm talking about failure. And somewhere, I don't know, it's not about TEDx, but almost 6 months or 1 year back, I had written this down somewhere and registered in my memory that someday I want to talk about the F word that we're afraid of facing, failure. So I think it stuck on, with me for a very long time, and it was a very quick decision. I didn't debate, or I didn't sort of brainstorm and prioritize which topic to choose. I picked the F word. I checked with a couple of people, and it was true. Of course, no one said no, because they said, "Oh wow, very interesting. People will be curious to see what you're talking about." So that's a little journey.
Right. Yeah, it's just clickbait. I mean, when I
Yep.
saw that F word, okay, what is he talking about in that talk like that?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So, what lessons that you have learned in your public speaking journey, or being as a district director of Toastmaster?
Okay, division. If anyone who knows Toastmasters is listening to this, they're going to have a good laugh. Division or
Division.
division
Okay.
director, and of course, club growth director was the last office that I had in Toastmasters. I think I had a lot of leadership experience from those roles more than public speaking. But of course, a lot of public speaking journey in the sense. From when I started my public speaking journey around 6-7 years back. Of course, I've been speaking from a long time, but when I was into serious public speaking, regularly speaking on stage, I think there was one point where the energy was way too high, which led to great speed, not really pausing enough, the tonality and all of that missing out in communication and even in public speaking. I think eventually over the years, all of these roles that I've played, all of the competitions I've been part of, they've added a great deal of composure to my entire public speaking personality, if you look at it. So I think that composure, that sort of poise in terms of staying calm, staying relaxed. Right now, I'm really energetic to be even talking to you, but I know when to sort of hold myself back, when to take that pause, apply a little brakes when I'm going really fast. So I think that composure is what I've really learned with the position that I've served, with the office that I've served, and with the various public speaking experiences that I got as a part of it.
I don't have that energy, so any advice to bring that energy in my talk or anyone?
See, advice is definitely not the word I would use here, but I think energy will naturally flow in, and it may sound very obvious, and a lot of people may find it silly when I say this, but I really think you need to be in that moment and thoroughly enjoy yourself. Of course, and if you ask me, that energy comes from nervousness also. It's very
Hmm.
interesting if you look at the, why I'm saying this statement. At times we are not energetic because we are very nervous. We are really focused on the outcome. We're really focused on, oh, what am I speaking? Is this the right word? Is this the right sentence? Have I missed something here? Let's face it, you're not there for an examination. In a competition, it matters. Every single pause, every word, pronouncing it the right way matters. But to reach that stage of composure where you're able to go flawlessly, what people call, I think it's very important you channelize your nervousness, all the feelings of anxiety that you have, into high energy. Even I feel very nervous when I'm speaking, but today I so live in the moment and I say, it's okay. What's the worst thing that could happen? And then that's where I think channelizing your entire nervousness into that energy, that's part one. Part two is, I recently heard this from another person who sort of inspired me really well. He says, don't take life too seriously. And then he says that don't take life too seriously, enjoy yourself and inspire others. So I think that really is very meaningful. Is when we start taking that little assignment. I'm not saying you need to be complacent, but don't take life too seriously. Remember that you also have to enjoy the journey. So I think doing that really helps in keeping yourself upbeat and bringing that energy throughout.
Right, right. I think just focus on what we are doing.
Yeah,
irrespective of what the outcome is.
absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
like said in Gita, just karmanya vadika raste.
Of course, of course. It's.
Okay.
I think that's a very valid statement. To that, I'll add on one more point. I think for me, again, Nancy, you'll remember this because we discussed this in our earlier sort of communication discussion. Is for me, music really, really works. Listening to
Hmm.
good music, and then I like listening to a little rock music that keeps me upbeat. I do that at least once a day, and then it's weird. I do that when I'm having a shower or sometimes when I'm driving, doing odd jobs here and there, to keep myself a little upbeat. I listen to good music, and I think that really keeps my energy pumped up. So you can
Right.
try that maybe.
Yeah, I have also made a playlist in on Spotify, like all the winning songs,
Ah,
and
yes.
it gave me so much energy. Whatever I'm doing, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like they are a composite of 5 to 6 songs,
Lovely.
but it works wonder for me.
Definitely, definitely. No, no. Since we are talking so much, and of course, one song that I always go to, whenever I want to feel a little motivated, is "Hall of Fame" by The Script. So I listen to this song, and it really sort of throws my energy up. It's nice.
Hall of Fame by
Script, Hall of Fame by The
Script.
Script.
Okay,
If I, yeah, I think so.
I'll listen to it. Okay, and maybe I'll add in my
Definitely,
playlist as well.
definitely.
Okay, so moving on to another question is what is like what you do other than public speaking? What are your hobbies or your interests?
Okay, my hobbies and my interests, I think two. I'll just I mentioned the whole designing bit. I started it, sort of as a hobby, but I'm very sort of. I think I can safely again say that it's more into a profession I'm turning into, passion turned profession, because I'm using it professionally as well. The whole aspect
Mm-hmm.
of creative designing, graphic designing. But besides that, besides the whole designing aspects, I think traveling is what keeps me going, and that's my major interest, and I really love that. So for a lot of people who know, I love biking also. If you listen to my TEDx talk, that's also
Yeah.
one part of the story. So I think biking, traveling, taking road trips, exploring new places, that's definitely one of my hobbies, interests that I like to do besides work. And in general, I think networking is what keeps me going. I love talking to people. I love interacting,
Mm-hmm.
understanding different people, understanding their, what they're going through, conversations. So I love interacting with people. And then, of course, the whole traveling nature bit is something that drives me.
The one place that you can never forget and you would advise or you will like tell everyone that this place you should go. So what
Lovely.
would it
Okay.
be?
So I don't want to market the place I am from, but I always tell people that Ooty is a beautiful place. But I think I'll put Ooty second on that list of one place you should never miss in your life. The first, at least the places that I have visited and I've experienced, the first one is going to be Kashmir. I think it's the most beautiful place. I'm saying on earth because that's what I've seen so far. It's absolutely serene. I still remember the entire 3 4 days I spent there. So it's beautiful. That's one place that one should visit in their lifetime.
And the one place that you want to go.
Oh, one place I want to go. I'll tell you what's on my mind. I
Uh-huh.
have a huge bucket list, but I think the one place that I really want to go is Bhutan. There are
Why?
many more. There are Bhutan. I think I've heard a lot about the kind of peace that it has, the kind of culture it has, the diversity in terms of culture, the geography, the kind of
Uh,
landscapes they have right there. So I really want to go and experience that.
yeah,
Plus,
I
plus,
think
yeah.
yeah, continue.
Plus, I think it's a one place that where you can go by road from India, so that's even more fascinating.
Oh,
Of course, there are
wow.
many more places. I mean, I'd always, as a kid, I'd always say that Switzerland, the Alps, is something that I want to see, or I'd say Paris, for example. Right now, the Eiffel Tower. But I think Bhutan is one place that gives me a mix of a lot of things. You can take a road trip, you can go by road, experience a lot of things there. So it's interesting. Bhutan is my place right now, at least on my go-to.
Okay, I have heard in one of the TED Talk, I think someone is mentioning about Bhutan is carbon neutral this country.
Yes, yes. There are many
So,
factors. You look at you search a little about Bhutan and how they tackled the entire COVID pandemic. It's fascinating. No one would ever
hmm,
imagine a country dealing with it in such a manner. So I think as a country, it's very beautiful to go and experience the kind of culture they have. So
hmm,
that's the reason I'm very fascinated about that place.
right, nice. So, Sanjay, do you read books?
I wish the answer to that was a loud yes. I have
Okay.
been planning to. I have started and then sort of left off. I've read a few books. I'm not saying I should be an avid reader. A lot of people are definitely going to pop their eyes out and say, "Oh, you're a speaker, but you're not reading." Definitely, I should. I'm not reading as much as I should be. If I have to put it in one statement, I'm not an
Mhm.
avid reader right now. I know I need to read a lot more, and I'm still trying to get to that discipline to read more often and read more regularly.
So if you want, like, if you give any names that I should read, because I'm an avid book reader.
Oh,
So if
lovely.
you
Okay.
just suggest books, okay, Nancy, you should read these two books, what would it be?
I think one of them for sure is going to be You Can Win by Shiv Khera. If you've read that book, then it's
Yes.
very common. A lot of people have read that book. I think it's fantastic. That is one book. Second, another very common book, but I think it's a go-to book for me anytime I want to, is Wings of Fire, the autobiography of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Yeah, that
Yes.
book I have with me, but I never read that.
We should. I would
Okay.
definitely, whenever I go to school, I tell all the children. Of course, most of them have read it, given how common reading has become today.
Hmm.
But I think that's one book that really sets you clear on a lot of aspects in your life. The whole journey of late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and it's not just his story. That's what is interesting. I think it's a story of every common man, the journey that he has. Every student, who's in school, who may or may not love science. That's just one part of it. But I think it's on the whole, it's a story that has struggle. It has got accomplishment. It's got how you can rise from the lows, and it talks a lot about failure. It talks about a winning mindset. It talks about success. So I think there are so many factors that book gives out to you, and I think that's going to be one book that I can definitely read time and again.
Wow. I'll plan that book now. I
Definitely,
think I should
definitely you
plan
should.
it. Okay, so next question. What would you advise to the person who is just starting their public speaking journey or communication journey? Because a lot of people say that English is the communication, but it is not. You can do public speaking in any language. So,
Absolutely.
what would your advice would be to those persons?
I think I'll answer it in three ways. First, you picked up a very interesting topic. English is not equal to communication or public speaking. So that's the reason I always say English is just another language. It's a language,
Hmm.
a means of communication for you to be able to go and speak. It's one mode or one means of being able to communicate. So first, we need to get out of that mindset that English is the only thing. Having said that, definitely the day and age we are living in and the kind of environment that we have, English is important. If you have to communicate to say a crowd or to someone who does not understand the language you do, it may English is a common language. So that's the reason, of course, please work on that. I'd like to say, even if you're not good at it, it's a skill. You can learn it. Do not think of it like an accomplishment that, oh, English is huge. It's not a mountain to climb. It's a little skill that you can learn. Apart from that, what would I suggest to anyone who's starting their public speaking or communication journey? Just two very important points. Number one is keep practicing. And when I say keep practicing, keep speaking. Do not stop. Do not read. Do not think that theoretically it's going to help. Practically, we always hear this quote saying, jump into the water to see how deep it is or how cold it is. Only when
Hmm.
you jump to the swimming pool, you'll realize. So the first thing is going to be keep practicing, keep speaking. And the second one is don't be afraid to fail. Take chances, take opportunities. Fail. It's okay. There's this very common saying which says you fail fast and you learn fast, or you fail fast and you sort of progress very quickly from that. So I think it's going to be where you very quickly be ready to fail. Don't be afraid to take those chances, to take those risks as to, oh, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work? So both go hand in hand. Keep practicing, keep speaking as much as you can, as often as you can, and then don't be afraid to fail and take those little risks.
Right. You correctly mentioned that this practice is the only thing because I have seen so many people, they just read English. They just read about communication. But communication won't come if you just read. It will come if you practice. So I
Definitely.
think daily practice or daily speaking for just 4 to 5 minutes would be a good practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So any plan, like what are your plans for next 3 years?
Oh, now it feels like I'm in an interview. Someone's asking me what's the plan for the next 3 years. I think when now given that I'm completely into training, public speaking, coaching, all of these aspects, I think the plan in the next 3 years is going to be address it's again very not very specific. I've not written down a goal. I think I should do that. It's a very good reminder. I should do that. But I think I want to be able to impact as many students as possible. I'm talking specifically students because I think that's the age group that need it the most. So my idea
Mm.
is going to be, to having covered at least one college or one school across all the states in the country. So
Wow.
I think that'll be a very uh, it sounds huge, and I think it's going to be a feat worth chasing. But I'm able to go ahead and I've done it in a lot of states, but go ahead and give a little talk, or be able to inspire the students of a school or college in every state, which basically helps me cover stuff across the country. It'll also give me a very good exposure in terms of understanding the cultural diversities, the kind of students that we have, and the kind of education practices across the country. One, and second, it'll also help me sort of travel to all these places. So that's going to be one of the goals.
Right. Wow. So how do you approach to schools? I mean, how do you approach to the schools, and how would you do that? Like, let's say I want to reach out to any school in Pune, maybe. So what is the process that you follow?
I think there are two ways to it. One is you have a direct, some network in your network. You have a connection who's able to get you across through the right person. Or number two, it's a very age old practice of you find out who's there, and what you call is sort of cold calling, or just sort of knocking on
Okay.
the door. And why I'm using cold calling, cold email is I think that works at times. You just go and
Right.
say, hey, you know what, this is what I have. And again, I'd go back and throw it to the thing that I mentioned during TEDx. So if you have an
Hmm.
offering that's so fantastic, or offer them something that they cannot refuse, give them
Yeah.
an offer that they really can't resist. They say, oh, you know what, please at least give us one talk. So that's the
Right.
idea.
Right. Wow. Right. So the next question that I have, what advice would you give to a 5 year younger version of yours, like the Sanjay, you are 2023 Sanjay, and the 2019 or 2018 version of Sanjay?
Right. I've heard this question across interviews. I've heard people tell them, and the most common answer, I think I'll give that answer, plus I'll give you an alternative version. I think the
Yeah.
answer would be definitely don't do anything. You're good where you are, and I think it'll be very unfair to go and change the past. So that's one version. But let's say if I have to answer that question in all fairness, since it's a
Yeah.
hypothetical scenario, I think one of the things is going to be to sort of explore more. Now, given the individual I was 5 years back, I definitely did, but I think it would be exploring more avenues, and sort of gaining more knowledge 5 years back. So life would have been different, life would have been better, and I'm not really saying that, but I think it would have the idea would have been, I would have told myself to gain more knowledge, and definitely not because we discussed reading books, but I think that's one thing I would definitely tell him, that to start building or cultivating this habit of reading more, reading often.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same that I am remembering. The answer to this question of like what I will give mostly the ask questions, or the whatever you want, just ask for it. Because in my corporate career, I made this mistake. For 4 years I was in a job and I wanted something, but I was not asking for it. So the lesson that I learned during the 6 years of my corporate career is that if you don't ask for it, answer is always no.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, if you don't
So
ask for it, they'll never know that you need it.
right, and the answer
Yeah.
will always be no.
Absolutely agree.
So this is the like mantra for me now.
Definitely. I think it's something that a lot of us, especially I think the younger generation, needs to hear this. And then why I'm saying this is,
Right.
at times, we think, oh, it's wrong to ask for a particular thing. Come on, if you never, let them know, how are they going to find out?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the questions that I have for you is like list is comes to an end, but I have some rapid fire questions.
Definitely.
The first is who is your fictional character, and what the conversation you would like to have with them
Oh, my
or
my
with him.
fictional character, very interesting. So it's just going to be one of them. It's a real person who's portraying a fictional character. It's going to be Iron Man from the Avengers, the
Okay,
entire Marvel
yeah.
series. It's going to be Iron Man. The conversations, oh my God, I cannot even imagine. It would be the kid in me will wake up right now when I say that I have a great sort of liking and fantasy towards Iron Man, the kind of personality he is. So conversations would be endless. I really I'd blank out first if I get a chance to talk to Iron Man per se.
Okay, nice. So that's the question that I have. And one more question. What piece of advice that you want to be what that you want to see on a billboard. If you have your billboard on any traffic signal, then what it should says.
Oh, oh, billboard on a traffic signal. So you're saying my words, what would I like to put up
Yes.
there? Very
Yes.
interesting. This got me thinking. I think one of the things is really going to be that life is too short. Don't waste it arguing, or don't waste it
Uh,
living someone else's. You
right.
can say it's copied quote. I've read it somewhere, but I think that's what I'd like to tell more people, because that's what we are doing more these days. Life is too short for anything that's that doesn't matter or doesn't affect your life.
Right, right. By hearing this, I remember Naval Ravikant's one quote: "We all have two lives. The second one starts when we got to know that we have two lives."
Yeah, correct. That's right. That's right. Very interesting. I've read that quote.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, it's really nice conversation with you, Sanjay, and I really enjoyed a lot. So I think official podcast is over.